The content you're about to hear is a part of a paid programming segment. The views, opinions, and statements expressed belong solely to the sponsor and do not reflect those of Podcastic or its host. This segment is for informational and promotional purposes only and should not be considered as advice or endorsement. Listener discretion is advised.
Good day, good people. Welcome to another purpose-filled episode of Lessons for the Journey, produced by Chantel Mosley of Podcastic Studios, live every Friday at 12 noon on Facebook and YouTube. I'm your host, Dr. Hetheru, personal change coach, and joining us in the studio is our co-host, motivational healer, Ma'at Sabah. Every episode, we explore and realign women's wellness, and spiritual insights, healthy relationships, and real life journey lessons. Every conversation is designed to help you understand your why, heal emotional patterns, and grow in spiritual maturity as you can move forward in your life and your next chapter life and relationships. If you are seeking clarity, healing, and empowerment, this podcast is for you. We will challenge you to take what resonates, reflect deeply, and as it aligns, move with intention. So put it into practice. To get us connected with our inner guidance, we use the Ma'at memos or me, myself, and I cards to awaken our inner voice. Each one of us will select a card and share what comes up for us. So listen to the question yourself and silently respond, because we want you to hear what's in you too. This is a practice of connecting with your inner voice and call to it the attention for this topic that you may need to address today. So we are going to pull from the bag. You see, I went to the bottom. So Chantel is pulling her card, and now Ma'at is pulling her card. My card says, fame can come. Chantel is beating up her card. Fame can come in a moment, but greatness comes with longevity. Fame can come in a moment, but greatness comes with longevity. That kind of reminds me of people whose videos go viral, or there's some episode like the guy at the plant the other day, some episode that just spurred out of, I don't want to say out of control, but outside of the norm. And then now he's a millionaire, I understand by now. That all the funds that were raised for him, he became a millionaire. Oh, wow. Isn't that something? Yes.
Just on a random day at work.
Right.
So mine said death and life are the power of the tongue.
Oh.
And yes, so this year I'm being very intentional in how I'm moving and what I'm doing and what I'm saying, what I'm listening to, what I'm allowing in my circle, in my space. So that's why I had a little moment with the card over here, because it was just confirmation, like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Just be cautious.
What was yours say?
So mine says, courage is resistance to fear. Mastery of fear, not the absence of fear.
Oh, read that again.
Courage is resistance to fear. Mastery of fear, not the absence of fear.
Wow.
So they say, like, when you're scared, what is that saying about something? When you're scared, do it anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do it scared.
Yeah.
Do it scared.
Yeah, but do it.
Yeah. Do it. Yes, absolutely. Wow. So I hope you are out there reflecting with us as we jump into kind of the backstory for the topic today. I'm going to give you our call-in number, which is 810-560-0658. And we really want you to not just resonate with the conversation today, but call in, share your thoughts, share your experiences, because this topic is a pretty triggering one. So how trauma reveals our superpowers. So I'm going to share a little bit about my reflection kind of on where this came from too. About 30 years ago, I was a part of a circle of advanced thinking, spiritually led women, and each one of us had some overlapping gifts. We didn't know that when we came together, but what we uncovered in our process of getting to know each other was that in our backstory, all of us had some form of trauma. So that was divorce, suicide, death of a child, death of a parent or a sibling, homelessness, being molested, abuse, some kind of drug or substance dependency, rape, and or other traumas. Each one of us had a series of trauma and those experiences. But again, when we came together, we did not know that about each other. We came together because we were actually drawn together. And then from that draw, started this support circle, because we found out also that we were all very different. And some of the ways that we were different was because we started to unlock a different part of ourselves. And we had also did some self-work on reconciling those traumas that we had in our lives and put them in a perspective. And from that point, we started to explore what did that trauma draw out in us. And this was doing the healing work. That means putting it into some perspective, separating the victim mindset from the experience, taking an opportunity to see and to own whatever part we had in that, the decisions, the choices, and the things that we had no control over, to be sure that we were clear on those things so that we could not and would not carry that blame into the rest of our lives. Instead, what we did was we carried the lesson into the rest of our lives. And what happened was it started to unfold in amazing ways. And so we found out during our time together that we could do some amazing things, some almost superhuman things. And some of those things were we could astral travel, levitate, move things with your mind, hear the thoughts of others, interpret dreams, learn from objects, and it was so much more. So we were together in that circle, we were together about 2.5 years. And in that time, these types of, I'm calling them superpowers, but these types of abilities emerged, these types of gifts emerged. And we were able to connect each of our gifts directly to the trauma that each of us had faced. And again, the unpacking of that trauma to find the lesson and the blessing in it, which was the gifts that started to emerge in us after that point. And so, of course, I since then continued my studies. I've received more downloads and insights about what that process is. And I've also helped other people identify their own and both their common and uncommon gifts. So everything is not, may show up in the form of a superpower that you're gonna jump and, fly across the sidewalk. But our gifts and abilities nonetheless are still a part of our process and our journey. And so here's where it's important for you to understand why this is important. So we see it in anime. You see all the gifts emerging through anime, Marvel and DC Comics, but those things, and they show those gifts on screen. It's a part of, if you watch any kind of live streaming, you're going to see it show up somewhere. And the idea that it's become more mainstream is also in alignment with the time and the season we're in. We talk all the time about this being the age of Aquarius and how our gifts, our spiritual gifts, are online. Part of our work is tapping into it and moving and removing the things that block us, including our mindset and our belief. And so if you have any of those gifts that have emerged for you over these last couple of years, or you see them emerge, please feel free to call in. Our number is 810-560-0658. I'm going to pitch to my aunt to share her thoughts on this. Have you seen in your own life, or have you seen these superpowers, I'm calling them superpowers, but gifts and abilities emerging? And which ones have you seen?
Yeah, I never thought of it being associated with trauma. I'm going to have to think about that. Mm-hmm. But I've had, I'm going to call it blips of certain things, like I've seen in people's bodies that was like an illness or disease or something, like I could see it.
How does it show up for you, though? in those times where you've seen it, how does it play out for you? Is it something you feel with your hands? Is it something that you can literally see? Is it glowing? How does it show up for you?
It was like a vision. Like I was looking at them because we used to have a health food store. So I've talked to many people, and some people, when I would talk to them, I could see what, I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of like an X-ray, but not. Like I could see the area that they had the issue in was lit up.
Okay.
Like I specifically remember one person, there was something on their spine, and it looked like I didn't see the other organs and stuff, but I could see the spine, and it was like a white, roundy, ovalish area on the spine, probably on the closer to the right side, near the lung. I don't remember what the situation was, but there have been times that I've had that experience, and it's not, I wasn't looking to do it.
Right.
It just kind of happened. There's times that, because I've always been intuitive, I can hear what people, sometimes I can hear what they're saying. Sometimes I could hear what they're not saying. I can intuit what's really going on. So I'll know how to deal with it based upon not what they're telling me, but what I'm intuiting is really going on, and I address it from there. I have gotten messages from people who are not on this earth realm anymore for somebody else. Again, it's not something that I asked for. It just happened. I've seen all kinds of things, people that have passed on and things that are not human, or different types of entities. I've seen those. And then, of course, because I do energy work, energy healing, specifically Reiki being one of them, I've had experiences where, like with my hands, I can feel the difference between if it's an actual physical thing or if it's an emotional thing. And because I can tell the difference in my hand, I know what to do, whether, how to move that energy either physically or emotionally, and typically what the person needs to do. But I always have to be open to let spirit guide me, because what I think, my intellect, might not really be what needs to be said to them. And so, I have to be guided on what to say or don't say anything at all. So, I've had a number of things, but I've not developed it. It just happened, and I just, that was interesting. But, I probably do need to develop it. If I did it once, I can do it again.
Absolutely. And so as people are out there and they're thinking about, I have had this maybe isolated event, or I've had, those are signs that this is in you, that gifts are in you, that you are in a form of alignment that is allowing you to take this next step and this next step on your journey. It's so important that we help people to remove the blockages, and one of those blockages could be fear. But that fear is coming from somewhere. Fear is an indicator, just like pain is an indicator. We have to give attention to what is that fear, what's underneath the fear. And so it's said by a lot of our motivational, inspirational speakers now that fear is, how do they put that? That fear
is false evidence.
Yes, it's false evidence. Oh, it is the belief in what you don't want versus the belief in faith is the belief in what you do want. Fear is the belief in what you don't want. And so if you think of it like that, especially when you are facing something that is being interpreted as fear, is it really fear? Is it timing? Is it not the right time for you to act or say or do? And that's where the fear is coming from. So, I've been an instructor, facilitator for some time. In one of my classes, every single person in my class had to stand up in front of the class and do a presentation. I've had people literally break down, cry out of the fear of speaking in front of people. And so what we had to do was really unpack what that was and where it came from. That that particular fear for some people, and I'm gonna show you where the trauma then becomes a gift. So sometimes that fear is something, what's underneath it. What was the experience where for this one person I have in my mind, they were like in kindergarten or in grade school, and they had to stand up in front of the auditorium and like make a speech, or you know how you have little events at school and you have to recite something. And the particular it was a woman, this particular person forgot her lines, and so she said while she was standing there, everybody was looking at her. And she said that because she couldn't read what the looks meant. She couldn't get the feeling if they were encouraging looks or they were being patient with her. She thought that they were being impatient with her, and she interpreted somebody's facial expression in the audience as being impatient or her not being competent or her not, and she took that with her and carried that all the way through her life to the point she got to my class. And she had that same emotion that every time she was asked to do it, she either would not show up for a class, she would not show up at work, anything that she had to present in front of people, she could not be present for. And so when we started to do some work around where did that come from, and just kept pulling the layers back, she went back to some of the events where she just didn't show up because she didn't want to face it, and back until we got into her childhood. And when she pinpointed that, and she pinpointed what it felt like to be on stage, and when she locked eyes with the person who had a opposing facial expression, it changed her dynamic. And she said that, she's like, really, that one thing has held me back all of my life. And then when she went back, and so she did some more work and some more practice, and she got through her presentation. She showed up for herself and for the little girl that was on stage. That backstory is really important and really powerful. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. But it is much the same when we look at the trauma in our lives. And a lot of it is rooted in our childhood. Like, this is where we learn the most information. This is where we take in the most from our environment, is when we are a child. And so what we often miss is an opportunity to go back, heal, rescue that child that had that experience. And of course, now there's so much more language and work and like for adverse childhood experiences. Adverse childhood experiences now is saying that the more of these adverse childhood experiences that you had, the more difficult life can be for you. Part of that is that we don't go back and reconcile. We have to go back and reconcile. When we talk about doing healing work, part of that is having to go back and reconcile. You have to unpack those events. And much like the example I gave, part of that is unpacking, and part of it is becoming. Because it is incorporated into how you are, your ways of being, right? The decisions that you make. And can you imagine that she didn't take certain jobs because presentation was a part of it? You know what I'm saying? It held her, and where she was not fully expressing herself. And so when it comes to our trauma and our triggers, it is also connected to these superpowers. And sometimes we have to go through something to get to something. And so if you're out there and you can relate to any of these experiences, please call in. Our call-in number is 810-560-0658. And so can you think of a time in your childhood, or Chantel, you too, when you had one of those experiences that almost like you can look back at it now and see was where maybe one of the blockages showed up to what you are and what you are now, and how you had to shift it? Can you think of anything like that for you?
Yeah. For me, it will probably be just expressing myself in like a healthy way, or I guess letting someone know that I maybe don't like something, maybe in a particular thing that was done or said, And that stems from my childhood of, okay, me being, of course, the youngest, growing up with my mom and grandparents. Excuse me. In that kind of generation, you didn't really have a say-so. You couldn't voice your opinion. You can think it, but that was just as far as it went. It wasn't an open space for you to kind of, say whatever you want, the whole gentle parenting thing. So I do see that kind of coming up as like a trauma building thing with me now, when I do have to let somebody know, like, hey, I don't like that. Like, I go back to that little girl that don't want to be disrespectful or step on toes or cause conflict. So I'm trying to, change that and start addressing things, and not addressing it as in like a negative way or like getting on a case or head, but just having a conversation before it allows my emotions to alter. And that's where I feel like the end result that I don't want comes about, when my emotion kind of sits and it doesn't move. So.
Right. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Anything come to mind for you? Or even in your work, people who you work with and some of the things that they may have shared in their experiences?
When you first started talking about it, I remembered this. I was doing a program, and when the people signed in, this lady's signature was in calligraphy. And it was a little different. I had not seen that type of calligraphy before. So at one point in time, I asked her about it because they had to do a little bit of writing, and she wrote everything in that calligraphy, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I told her, you should do something. I asked, do you do anything with this? Do you make cards or anything like that? She said, no. I said, you should. This is absolutely beautiful. And she said that she always wanted to, but I don't remember exactly. She always wanted to, but I don't think that she felt she was good enough. And so as I started questioning her about, like, where'd you get that from? I mean, this is how everybody was saying how beautiful it was. And as she started to think, she said she thought back to when she was younger, and she was always teased. They called her Blackie, and they made all these names about her stature and her color. And so she took that as not being good enough, stupid, she has no worth, nothing that she does is any good. And so even though she wanted to go down that road and pursue calligraphy for that, for cards and that type of thing, she never did because she felt she wasn't good enough. That was the time, in that moment, when she finally got it, and she started to cry. Because she at that time, she was probably at least in her 50s. And she realized how much of her life had gone by because she made other people's comments her truth. And she wasn't, at that point, had not lived her truth because she never felt she was good enough. So I do believe after that, she said she was going to start, to incorporate that into some type of product.
That's awesome. I mean, I think we all have at least one of those experiences, and the thing that came out of it and what can come out of it from, this point on, especially for her, is that she gets to create. And she brings that creative energy to the world. She clearly brought it to the space that you all were in, because everybody had a chance to experience it. And, and it's really interesting that what we call gifts and abilities and how people classify that as important or unimportant. To the person that normally has the gift, it's almost no big deal because you do it all the time, or this is the natural part of you. It's nothing that's, super out of the ordinary. But for the person looking in, or the person who needed the comfort of that gift, or needed the insight from it, it's super powerful. And so our superpowers really allow us to do things that are not just ordinary, not just extraordinary, but extraordinary. And some people just have a mind like that. It's amazing to me for people who can add numbers quickly in their head. I'm always looking at, okay, let me carry the one. I have to actually see it for me to process it. It's very difficult for me to do it in my head. And so, but that is somebody's a gift and ability. Imagine if you cultivate that. Numbers are a language of its own. It's a language of its own. And if you have a relationship with the numbers, that means that you can take that relationship even further. Just like you practice, right? Just like you go to elementary or elemental school, you move from that elemental school into secondary, into high school, to primary. You move through a process. It is the same with our gifts. We can move through a process to elevate, not just transform. We are at a point where it's not just about transformation. It is about the elevation. It is where you stand at that next level of evolution. So the elevation allows the evolution of a being, not just the transformation, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to open this dialogue for conversation for those who are listening also, to open this dialogue, your inner dialogue. Allow it to resonate with you so that it opens the voice of your inner guide. Open the voice of your inner guide. And then we'll talk about some ways that you can connect with people who do this work, right? This is what my aunt does. She's a motivational healer. She can talk about that. She can talk about some of her ministry work and how she's helped to help people to see their value, to see what's also happening in their lives energetically, what's happening physically, and what's happening spiritually. This is a part of the time that we're in. These are the places where we need people to connect, especially when you see your triggers. And so if you've gone through something, if you've gone through the trauma, this is time for you to move and understand it and to become what life is, this transition, the trajectory that you're supposed to be on. So we're going to go on to part one. Ma, do you mind taking that?
Okay, the backstory in the subtle energy body. We all have a backstory. Our backstory is a series of events that make up our ways of being today. In our backstory, there were experiences that were emotionally charged that left deep imprints in our mind, body, and spirit. Our physical body remembers, and so does our spiritual body. We also pass that imprint through our subtle energy body, the energy field pulsating through and around us. This is where our clear senses often are activated and what empaths pick up in their energy field.
So, for those of you that have uncovered that you're empathic, it'd be great if you called in and shared your experience with us. So our phone number is 810-560-0658. I know that you are an empath too. And so how does your Reiki and your Reiki training and experience connect with you being an empath? Do you see a connection between them?
Yeah, it's everything. First of all, an empath is a person that feels subtle energy outside of themselves. So you will pick up another person's emotions. You could be having a great day. You go in somewhere and maybe somebody's angry or grieving. And after a few minutes, you start to feel different. You didn't come in that way and you have no reason to feel any differently. But what's happening is your energy field is picking up their energy, the energy in their energy field. And so you're taking on that energy from them. You also can take on a person's illness, which is in Reiki something that we learn. When we first learned, we were all instructed that you could not give anyone a treatment that was an alcohol, a drug addict, or had mental issues until you had done so many sessions to get used to what that's like and to learn how to block that energy so that you don't take that on as your own. So you could be in a car with someone. I don't know who the young man is because I'm not in the rap world, but there was a young man, a rapper who I think he got out of the industry because he was so empathic. He started to pick up on all of the energy with people and, people getting high and drinking and everything, and he couldn't take it anymore. He thought it was him. But as I listened to him explain it, I said, no, he's highly empathic. And so he's taking on everybody's stuff and he can't take it anymore. So being empathic, some people think it's a curse because it doesn't feel good because, when you go to a funeral, you feel everybody's stuff and it's like, ugh, you have to fight off to not cry and or to feel things that don't belong to you. And so a lot of time empaths don't go anywhere. They don't like crowds. They don't like to be in certain environments because they feel all of that stuff. But until you learn that it's a gift and what to do with it, it's a gift that you can feel other people's energy, but then you train yourself on how to not take that energy on as yours. It's like you just take it in as information. It's like, oh, that's not mine. That headache came from nowhere. It's not mine. But somebody around here has a headache. You can either, send a prayer out that they feel better, or, I can't explain it here, but, there are ways to block that energy so that you do not take it on as your own. Mm-hmm. So it is definitely a superpower that everybody has. And because of the day and time that we're in, everybody's, the degree of them being empathic is increasing. It's extremely strong in children who take on the energy of their household. And so a child can get sick all the time, but the doctor can't find anything wrong because it's not physical. They're empathic, and they're taking on the energy of the household that is making them physically sick. So, again, once you understand what being empathic is and how to use it, it's an absolute blessing. That really is a really powerful superpower.
Right. And, and what I admire most is when people go through this process and they get to a point where they can move their empathic abilities to becoming an alchemist. So how do you take that negative energy that you're taking in, create something beautiful from it, and then put it back out in the world where it's useful? Because it's the same energy, right? It's never lost. But when you recreate it and form it as something, some people can do that through taking their experiences, their trauma, and turn it into music. Make it a song, put it in a painting. I love watching the people who do faith dancing and people who dance, and their body is actually telling a story. I mean, that's just so amazing to see that. I normally see it in praise dancers, but you can see it in professional dancers, especially if they're doing like, what do you call those types of performances where, like musicals and things like that, where the music is playing and you can actually connect their body movements with the music. Those are gifts. That's another form of communicating. And so being mindful that energy, being able to take that energy and reproduce something beautiful from it. I think that's such an important space to grow into. We have to grow into those spaces because it's not wasted. And if it's coming to you, there is more for you to gain, to learn, to, as we talked about, transform, and then to elevate, so that we can evolve as a culture, as a community, as a world. This is the evolution of us. And so more people putting their gifts online, understanding them, practicing them, not using them in fear, and not using them for manipulation as well, because it's a thin line. It can be a very thin line sometimes between how you use your gifts and what you use your gifts for. Ultimately, it's for humanity to evolve, but there's some people who find other ways to use it. It's not always helpful to us. Again, if you're out there and you are empathic, someone's empathic, give us a call, share the story at the number again, 810-560-0658. Okay, so
I have a quick question for
sure.
you ladies. When it comes to being an empath or empathic, do you ever reach out to the particular individual to let them know, like, or to just check, like, hey, are you feeling a certain way? If you're not maybe sure where exactly is it coming from, or should you go about it more like Ms. Ma'at was saying, as far as, okay, this is information, I'm aware that it's happening, I'm feeling this way, and then you just kind of use it as information or a reference point and kind of move on?
Well, I think it really is a combination.
Okay.
For me, I typically, when it's almost like somebody's ringing a bell for me, and I know who's ringing the bell, so I call.
So
I will call. I will call or text.
Okay.
If at that point I understand and I know who it is.
Okay.
I may not know what it is, but I'll know who it is. And sometimes I know what it is and not who it is.
Okay.
And so in those times where I don't know who it is, I send out my energy. I send out through prayer, because if I know what it is, I know that it can affect somebody this way.
Okay.
And so my prayers for the clarity, my prayers for the protection, my prayers for the understanding that they need to be able to endure or to connect with whatever it is in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of my prayer that goes out.
Okay, so you send out your energy.
Yeah, but I'll send it back out.
That's good.
It really depends on the situation too. That's why I say let your intuition guide you, and then be obedient to it. I remember one time that I was not obedient. I was in the grocery store, and the cashier that was checking me out, I saw her. I could see the guy, her. I don't know, husband, boyfriend, whatever he was, that was extremely abusive to her. And I felt that I should say something to her to let her know, look, you can leave work right now. I'll take you somewhere.
Yeah.
To the police station or something. I could see her fear, and she was just trying to not show it. But I saw the whole thing, and I didn't say anything, and I regret that to this day that I didn't say anything. And then another time, I had a customer who came in, and she was looking for something, but I could tell that she was overly stressed out about her family life, and everybody was pulling on her. And I just asked her, I don't remember exactly what I asked her, but I let her know that the thing that she was requesting, this is an helpful story, the thing that she was requesting was not what she needed. She needed to learn how to tell people no. And go to the hotel and get herself a room and take care of herself. And then I did share that with her, and she just broke down crying. So let your discernment guide you on should you say it, how you should say it. And again, as Heather said, sometimes you just send people energy. And send them prayers, and send them loving energy that they'll work through whatever the situation is. Because maybe it's a lesson that they need to get on their own. Maybe they need to learn how to tap in to their inner guidance system and find out what the answer is themselves. How are they going to exercise that muscle if they never use it? So
yeah, we had a comment to say those calls and texts are appreciated. I certainly understand that. I'm glad you resonate with that too, and I hope that you are offering them as well. I see you that empathic is out there, so that's awesome. And hey Rich.
Hey Richard.
Thank you. And this journey that we're in, and again, I know we keep making reference to the time and the season that we're in. I want people to recognize the journey, and when you think about whatever age you are now, and you think about what you want to leave as your legacy in this world, that is how we need to be living every day. And so when you think about your past, and you think about the things that may have happened to you, through you, for you, by you, that it's a really great time to be reflective of it, because just the reflection is a good indicator about what you need to be working on today, so that tomorrow can be different. And so if that was fear of realizing this gift, maybe for a lot of people, which we're going to get into right now, that there's some things that have been passed down in your DNA, including memory. There is memory that can be passed down in your DNA. And the memory of the trauma, and also memory of triggers that can be passed down through your DNA. It's because it's coded. It's coded from your mother and from your father. So you get the imprints from both parents. And so if you are a parent, that means your child got the imprint from both parents. And so when you think about that, really think about how we learn to adapt, how we learn to cope and some of the ways that we do. To that either it gives the illusion that you are safe, or that you can work, that you've already worked through something, when you're just covering it up. And so when you look at certain dependencies and certain uses, there right now in our community, it's really high in marijuana and vaping and those things. Are those things just a delay of the coping? Is it a delay of the unpacking of those things? And we have to be really mindful, because it's still coded. That means if you don't work through it, that means you pass it to your children to work through. Mm-hmm. Do you want to pass it to your children to work through the trauma, the triggers that are ours? And so, and a lot of us had that experience where we're working through some of the things that our parents did not work through. Did they have the same information? Did they have the same access to knowledge? Did they have the same tools? Did they have where they could go to a motivational healer or a personal coach? Could they go through a counselor or a therapist to get some additional support? They may not have had those tools available to them like you do today. Therefore, you are the one that I call it the redeemer or the champion for that family to work through those things that we have labeled generational curses. We've labeled them, and sometimes mental health challenges. We've labeled a lot of those things without actually unpacking it to see what is the origin. And so, article in Psychology Today talked about the experiences of trauma such as abuse or neglect disrupt normal, I'm saying normal in quotes, normal development trajectories for children to develop coping mechanisms that help them to cope with painful experiences. And part of what happens is we just adapt. We just keep on adapting and adapting and adapting till we it can only go so far. There just like there's a story, right? There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there is an end. Where are you in the process? Are you still in the middle of that story where you're just adapting and not thriving? Is it putting you in survival mode, or is it placing you in thriving mode? Where are you? Are you overcoming? Are you internalizing? Are you passing this on to the children or your environment? And that was really powerful, Mom, when you talked about the environment that children pick up, that also in their environment, and then they internalize that so often. So, so I just wanted to make sure that we are really looking at this so that we can unpack it and then see what gifts, what abilities, what talents emerge from the seed that was planted. That this particular seed is now one that is something that we can use in our lives today. So I want to talk a little bit about the triggers, and I want our audience to call in if you get a chance at 810-560-0658. I'm reading that from the screen, you guys. And so what is your thought about passing experiences through your DNA or as a witness? You can hear the stories from loved ones and others and become hyper vigilant to ensure that it doesn't happen to you or is repeated to the people that you love. So what are your thoughts about that? About experiences being passed down from either the DNA or something that you witnessed or overheard?
Well, it's absolutely the truth. If you would just take the time, this is why the inner work is so important. I mean, what's the cliche name now? Shadow work. That is why that inner work is so important. And it takes time. So we give the world all of our time, but we don't give time to ourselves to do the most important thing we can do for ourselves, is to do our inner work, that reflection, inner reflection, prayer and meditation, and just take maybe one person at a time and look at the experiences that you're having with them. Everything in our life is a lesson. Every experience that we have with people is a lesson for us and for them. So maybe take one person at a time and reflect on the experiences that you had with them. What is the lesson that you got? What are maybe some things that you're doing that they do that you're not even aware of? And where did they get it from? Did they get it from their parents? That's trauma. Could be trauma that's passed on. Certain behaviors that are passed on that you take it on as normal. And there are some things that are genetic. Us in our culture as Black people, we do have some things that were passed down through DNA, based upon, slavery being one thing. But there are other things culturally that are passed down through our DNA that we're not conscious of. And that's the bad and the good. So let's not forget the other side. There were some things that are passed down through us culturally and through our DNA that are powerful that we don't even really give any credit to. So you have both sides of the coin, but take your time and reflect on all aspects of you. Look at your parents. Your parents are the reflection of their parents, and their parents are the reflection of their parents, and on and on and on. And that's why the Bible says to honor thy parents. They are you. Right. They are you. And so doing that work, and maybe say, for instance, take on the person that you don't have that much of a toxic relationship with. Maybe it's a sibling that you get along with really well. Look at that sibling, the relationship between the two of you, and see where you guys maybe reflect each other. And then go to the next person. Okay, we got a caller, so I'm going to stop and let them speak.
Yes, welcome, caller. You sharing some insights?
Yeah. So, what you just said is very, very important, because we don't understand how words unlock processes within our system. And so, because literacy is such a powerful thing, we'll never really understand how words and numbers unlock these things, these traumas, to move past them or even to recognize them. So some people who might not have enough information can't move past. Then you have to be concerned about those that, even if they know the trauma and the things that's present, that don't do anything about them, that just go with them. So those are the things that when you take a deeper dive and learning how to even change the trauma, right? Mm-hmm. In order to change the trauma, that means you got to do something different from what you know in order to change the code. Like, one of the things that I wanted to change in my code was, overcoming what my father left, right? And I've far exceeded in some of those areas, right? Not the music, but in community, right? Because those things were on my code. And so now the next level for me is to establish it, as my uncle say, nationally and globally, because that changes the trajectory of what and who we are.
Right. And for your children. Your children. So what is...
Man,
so,
bump them kids.
What is so important with the changing is it's almost like it's synchronous. Once you change this, it does change it for you. It changes for them. It's like it's almost that change is in motion. It's constant motion because it's energy. And energy is in constant motion. It's in constant flow. So if you're changing your attitude, you're changing your mindset, you are giving your children the same energetic shift. They can take it or they can leave it. But they're still giving the energetic shift that you now have, that you're changing, because that code is alive. That code is alive. Your code is not dead. It is alive. It's blood flowing through it. That's why you can take a hair sample and find somebody and identify them by their DNA. Mm-hmm. It's alive. Your hair is alive. Your skin is alive. Your cells are alive. And so as it's changing for you, it's changing for them. Again, they have the choice, just like you do, and have to accept it or release it. And these are some of the things that we talk about in my coaching sessions, and these are some of the things that we discuss in the workshops. And so that's such another important way to move through understanding who you are, where you are in this season, what gifts or abilities are emerging. They're out there for you. The information and the tools are out there. And this is just one of the ways that we try to help you to identify the lesson today and every Friday. And so thank you out there for making your comments, for calling in. We greatly appreciate you. We are moving into the close of our show, but I want you to take a look at some information before you go. So here's my producer's on the ball. She is sharing some information about coaching and some of the things that I do and some of the ways that I help direct people in this process. Thank you. Thank you. And so we also have a book club coming up, which is coming up on Wednesday, the third Wednesday of every month, the 21st. I had that mixed up on my flyer the last time, so it's been updated to the 21st. Yes, it's there. On the 21st, we are engaging in a book and a collection of poetry that we've had on the show. We actually had the author on the show before, and she shared some of this poetry. It is so stirring. That's the best way I can explain it. It's
She's
so
watching
stirring
right now.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Hi, Mama Evelyn. Yeah, so it's so stirring. You cannot help but be touched by what you hear and what you read. And so that is our featured book for January. And so those of you who are out there, a lot of people got their books already. If you are wanting still to join us, reach out. You know, I like to talk to people by phone. Reach out to me or pick up the flyer. It is out circulating. So you can use the QR code, or you can give us a call and let us know that you want to be a part of that book club. And so it's really another way that we are in connecting to our lessons for the journey, because there is something that will resonate with you in this work, in this journey. So
I love that. Special lady.
Yeah, she absolutely is. She is a treasure. Mm-hmm. She is a treasure.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that we're featuring her book and being able to experience life through her lens.
Yes.
All right. And so this last conversation, I did want to ask if there was somebody out there too, if you've ever felt someone's pain or experience and really were purposeful not to repeat it, like in a way that you're building resistance against the repeating of the behavior. And so, what came to my mind, so my dad was robbed at gunpoint twice at the gas station. And he had a van at the time, and before he was able to, he was walking away from the pump. As soon as he got out the car, somebody got in, and so then he locked the door, and so the person was in. It happened to him twice. So the first time he didn't have the remote lock, but the second time he had the remote lock. But the same type of incident happened to him twice. And it makes me more aware, like when I'm at the gas station, my antenna, that memory is automatically triggered. That as soon as I step out, I always look around before I get out. And then I also make sure the first thing before I put my foot on the ground that I'm locking the door behind me. Yeah. And so it just caused me to be so more hyper aware, because I experienced it as a witness to his story. But I also feel that how he described his feeling when that happened to him. Yeah. And so it left an imprint for me, but it also, what it did for me was it increased my awareness, not my fear. It caused me to be more aware of my environment, not just at the gas station, but when I'm getting in and out of the car. And so I think that's such an important lesson that my dad gave me about awareness, not about the fear, but about awareness, how you have to be more aware of your environment. That's like stepping out the car and it's a patch of ice and you never saw it because you never looked, right? Yeah. So being more aware of your environment is also another lesson for me that came out of my witnessing my dad's experience. So, and again, that's another way that we have this experience, and that I use that term too, intuitive and discernment. Those are tools and gifts that we have that we you can activate those. You can activate them at any time. They're already in you, a part of you. Ma, you want to share anything else that might stand out for them?
It's kind of a little off subject, but what came to me when you're dealing with traumas like this, well, two things. One, when I said honor your parents, to realize that at different times, like when my parents were raising us, there were no counselors. I didn't know what that was. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You just dealt with trauma the way you dealt with trauma. And so to give them grace for being able to make it through their experiences with what they had to work with.
Right.
So we have to be conscious and fair with them. Also, people that are dealing with trauma, I would suggest to get body work done. Energy and trauma is held in the muscles as well. So you can get deep tissue massages that will release the energy and the trauma from your body. Breath work is extremely powerful. If you know someone that can assist you and guide you, because it has to be done just so, assist you and guide you in specific breathing techniques to release these things. That is very powerful. Sweat lodges. If you can find the sweat lodges, and there's a place on Michigan. I haven't been to that one yet, but there's a place on Michigan where they do sweat lodges. So there are different methods and therapies now that we have that we did not have back then, where people can address these traumas and release them from the body. And also, again, on the flip side, when it comes to traumas, take the experiences and use them for something positive. Now, it might have been traumatic for you, but take that experience and make something positive out of it. What they said, the other thing was in religion, they call it breaking strongholds. Mm-hmm. So when you change something within you that you maybe had learned in your past, maybe it was abusive behaviors, and you decide you're not going to be abusive as the way you were raised, that's called breaking strongholds. And that right there changes the DNA for all those that come. Well, they said before you and after you. Mm-hmm. Whatever you change it for the people that have come before you and all those that come after you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My hope for you out there listening is that something that was said helped you to understand, one, that you're not alone. This is not a journey that you're taking alone. Energetically, we are sharing a journey. Mm-hmm. Your life lessons, the lessons that you're learning, the experiences that you're having are not just for you. Your story connects to my story, connects to Maat's story, connects to Chantel's story. We are all interconnected. Energetically, we're all interconnected. And so when you are feeling a certain way and you put that out in the universe, you're asking. So we talk about our prayers as a form of this healing work that we're doing. Your prayers are words of affirmation, the words of confidence that what you need will come back to you. That means you have to believe that it's going to come back to you. That's how you empower the words that you speak. The thought, the word, the action that you take, the thought, the word, and the deed is super important. And when we talk about the traumas and the triggers that are revealed, and the superpowers that are revealed, the gifts that are revealed, sometimes it may not be what you see on Marvel, right? It may not be that you're floating or levitating to that degree. Maybe part of that gift is that you show other people the way to go. You show other people how to heal. You talk through it. You don't hide it. You don't act in fear. And we talked about what that was too. And I think that's a really great way to look at fear, is belief in what you don't want versus faith being belief in what you do want. If you want to heighten your gifts, your talents, and your abilities, there are opportunities for you to do it. Intuition, tune in. It's already around you. The tool is already around you. It's tapping in. And so this time that we're in also shortens the distance between people, so that you can pick up a phone, you can FaceTime, you can watch a video, all of those things that are available to help us to navigate where we are going and who we are becoming, and always improve our ways of being. And so we thank you for tuning in today for Lessons for the Journey. We hope you got yours today and that you have some information that you can share. If you're looking to continue to build on your inner work, we are here. This is what we do, and this is how you can reach us.
My email address is relationshipfirstaid@yahoo. Website, relationshipfirstaid.com. Facebook, Relationship First Aid, or my personal website is Ma'ataba. And Instagram and what's that other one? TikTok. I'm new on that, so I haven't put anything on there yet. But connect with me anyway. It's Relationship First Aid.
Right. And you can reach me at You're Inspired with a D, yourinspiredjourney.com. You can also find more detailed information on what I do and this backstory at Hetheru.com. You can also call me, which I greatly appreciate, at 313-759-7855. We appreciate you being here with us. Chantel, are we going to be connecting with One Step Closer?
Yes, so you guys can check out my episode from yesterday. Mr. Yusuf Shakur was my guest. Very great episode. You can catch me on Podcastic every Thursday at 1:15.
All right. Well, thank you. We thank you for being with us today. We hope you got something that you needed and something that's going to take you to your next elevation. Stay clear.